Forumą tęskime tarptautinę perspektyvą. Portugalijoje buvo priimtas nacionalinis susitarimas dėl meninių veiklų įtraukimo į ugdymo procesą. Pasak kito pranešėjo, šiuo metu gyvename populizmo, naujų neapykantos formų kurstimo atsiradimo, klimato kaitos iššūkių, sparčios skaitmeninės raidos laikais. Viso pasaulio švietimo sistemos klausia, ar vaikai pasiruošę priimti šią realybę. Tai tik viena iš pranešimo Demokratinis ugdymas be meno neįmanomas tezių, kurį mums paruošė ir virtualiai mūsų forume dalyvauja Joao Costa, buvęs Portugalijos švietimo ministras, EBPO ekspertas, Lisabonos naujojo universiteto Lingvistikos centro profesorius.
Good morning. Let me start by thanking you the invitation to participate in your meeting and to congratulate you for the relevance, the high relevance of this conference. The purpose of my talk and the 20 minutes I will spend with you is to share a bit the experience of Portugal and also my personal view on the relevance of the arts in the curriculum, the arts in the goals of education, and, as I put it in my title, why I'm so convinced that the accomplishment of the goals of democratic schooling must crucially involve the arts in education. In Portugal, we developed a national plan for arts. The idea was to strengthen and to assign more relevance to the role of the arts in education, but especially to make sure that when we think of a school, we are thinking of a place for cultural programming, for cultural action, and to achieve the main goals of education through the presence of the arts. This program involves the development of a strategic plan in which all the actions, so what we didn't want was to have a kind of extracurricular activity, but to have a full embedding of the arts in the curriculum. The idea is that we cannot have a full human development, which is one of the missions of the school, if the arts are not present. The idea is also that we cannot have full inclusion and accomplish the goals of inclusive education, leaving aside the arts. And also, and I will go back to this, the idea that achieving and accomplishing the mission of education in the development of an active and informed citizenship involves embedding the arts in the curriculum. Thinking of the arts cannot be aside from thinking about what is going on in the world. We are living strange times, I would say, with the rise of populism, with the emergence of new forms of hate speech, with a very rapid digital evolution, with new challenges posed by climate change. And the question that all education systems around the world are asking is, are we ready for this? Are we preparing the students for this reality that they are facing these days? School is no longer the same. Education is no longer the same. Children are hyper-stimulated. We live in an avalanche of information, but information does not mean knowledge and does not mean wisdom. So there are new skills, new competencies that have to be developed through schooling. In the thinking about education, and also when I was in functions in the Portuguese government, it was very clear to me that the development of public policies around education involve addressing or mastering these three words: success. We want, of course, children to succeed; inclusion, addressing the goal of having a full inclusive education, and also, as I mentioned before, to develop full citizenship. Now, these words they appear to be more or less consensual, but sometimes they don't mean exactly the same things. So I will briefly guide you through the meaning of or the meaning I'm ascribing to each of these words, so that we can then make a case for the arts in the curriculum. Here in Portugal, like in many other contexts, and I can refer you to the OECD project, the Global Forum on the Future of Education and Skills 2030, we start asking the question, okay, we want students to have success, but what does success mean? Is it only about having good grades and accessing university? Is it only about making all the national exams with good marks? What are we talking about? And what we did was to develop a student profile by the end of compulsory schooling, in which we try to find a consensus on 10 areas of competence that all students have to develop. Of course, school is a place where we go to acquire knowledge on mathematics and physics and geography and chemistry and language, but we have to be more ambitious. We have to go beyond this. And so what the student profile means is that a successful student is someone who's ready to learn throughout his life. And this involves managing information, to develop creativity, to develop the capacity to evaluate the information that we get in our screens every day on the basis of the knowledge we develop. It involves being able to work with each other, to solve problems, because in a fast-changing world, the profile of a successful citizen is sometimes at odds with the representation of what a good student is. We used to think that a good student was someone that was very quiet in class, behaving very well, very competitive. He had to be the best student in class and very good at repeating whatever the teacher taught. But we know that what the world expects from citizens is people that are able to work with each other, are able to find new solutions for new problems, are able to think critically about what they experience. So when we inscribe competences like reasoning, problem solving, critical and creative thinking, interpersonal relationship, we are really addressing these new needs. One of the core areas of this document is, and it is not an accident, aesthetic and artistic sensibility. And why did we want to put at the core competencies aesthetic and artistic sensibility? Because we're talking about whole child development, whole human development. And I'm a linguist by training, and that's what I do at my university. And for me, it's very clear there are two features that distinguish us from other animal species. One is that we have language and not just a matter of communication. And the other one is this ability we have to be amazed when we have an art piece in front of us. So if we leave the arts out of the main features of the curriculum, we are missing one of the fundamental dimensions of what makes us uniquely human. And that's why this is so important. But we can go beyond that. When we're talking about inclusive education, we are talking about having all students in school, all students living together in school, so moving away from segregated schools, from segregated classes. And it also means that we have to be flexible. We have to make sure that we run a bit away from standardization, because we are all different. And what is normal is that we are different. This is very ambitious. It's so much easier to have exclusive system. It's so much easier to say those who are not able are left out, are left behind. And it's so much easier to say we have this curriculum and the students have to adapt to it, instead of making the curriculum appealing and adaptable and flexible to the individual needs and the specific needs of all students. And the sources of exclusion are known, and they are common in most of our countries. They are about cognitive or physical impairment. They are about being an immigrant who doesn't speak the language of schooling. They are about the socio-economic background of the families, which makes the race for success being very unfair, because they don't all start at the same context. And when we're talking about citizenship, we are talking about aligning education systems with the 2030 agenda of the United Nations. This is very much criticized in many countries. And here in Portugal too, we had and we still have this debate, especially when it is about sexual education or gender equality or multiculturalism. We are accused of indoctrinating students, but in fact, what we are promoting is the ability for students to know that the sustainability of the planet is a major topic, that we are no longer happy with hate speech, that we have to promote media literacy, and this is about knowledge. This is about giving them the opportunity to find in the schools as a place where they can debate, where they can think with their own heads, and they can be exposed to information about all these topics, so they can make their choices in freedom and they can act accordingly according to their choices. Now, we see that in many countries, in many places, in many geographies, we still live in a world of false dichotomies. We still have discussions on whether the curriculum should be knowledge-based or competence-based. Of course, knowledge is foundational for us to be able to be competent, but we don't want knowledge to be something that we learn, give back in the day of an exam, and then we forget. We want knowledge to stay, and we want competent people, people that can use their knowledge to thrive throughout their lives. We still hear speeches that school has to be based on merit alone, but merit, and we have the work of Sandels showing the fallacy of meritocracy. Merit is about inclusion. The most meritful systems are the ones that manage to reach out to those children and adolescents who don't have the basis, don't have the background to be able to succeed. We also hear these debates on whether school must be a very serious place or a place where we find happiness and well-being. And we want both. We want school to be a very serious place where we learn the right things and the relevant things, and that makes us happy. We are happier when we have knowledge. And the same thing about foundational competencies or holistic competencies. Yes, the school is a place where we go to learn how to read, write, where we learn mathematics, but it is also a place for whole development and for our full development as human beings, as I mentioned before. I will make the case for the arts in education and why here in Portugal we developed our national plan for arts and why we share it so much. And I will give you a couple of arguments that I think are really critical for us to have the arts in the curriculum. Let me start just by repeating what I mentioned before. We live in a very challenging world where we see the democratic values downsliding, where we are exposed to fake news, where we are living together and globally, where we have algorithms sometimes driving our emotions. And so we need more than just reproducing knowledge. We need creativity, we need to be critical, and the arts play a very crucial role in this. So my number one argument is that when we think, as I mentioned before, what was the representation of a good student, the one in the image below, is this quiet student. This is not what we want from citizens. We want people who are creative. We want people who are able to find new solutions. We want people who are able to look around, to be inspired by what they don't know and want to create new realities. And so having the arts in the curriculum is really about developing this ability to create, this ability not to be content with whatever is presented, but being stimulated by the ability to shape a new world. It's really about having an education system for the future we want, for the future we want to develop together, and not just being passive consumers of what is presented to us. My second reason is really about science and about this dichotomy between foundational learning and the role of creativity and the arts and holistic development. When we think of how we got to the world of applied physics, technology. It all started in ancient philosophers who just looked around the world, were surprised, were amazed, and wanted to understand. And they spent time in dialogues. They spent time writing poetry. They spent time in the humanities. So who knows? Perhaps what we're doing right now in the arts, in the curriculum, is prompting for big advances in the technology and science in the future. My third argument again is about navigating information. When we develop critical thinking, and the arts prompt us to be critical, because when we are in front of an artistic experience, we question. We are also being able to question the information that is presented to us. We are not just going to believe that by putting a sentence next to the image of a person, that person really said it. It may be fiction. It may be fiction like what we are experiencing in the arts. We need to understand that truth and false are absolute notions, but we have to be able to develop this criticism. And sometimes an artistic experience is the first moment in which we start questioning. We need a novel approach to the metrics in education. In many of our countries, we are bombarded with this school rankings that tell us that the best school is the one that has very good marks by the end of the year. But the best school is the most inclusive. The best school is the one that develops whole child development. And we need, when we at the international organizations, when we are discussing the quality of education systems, I don't hesitate to say, if a school develops a more inclusive setting, if a school creates new publics for the arts, that school is better than the one that just drives the students to the national exams with success. The arts are also about human rights. Many times we wake up to an issue related with human rights because we went to the theater, because we watched a movie, because we read a poem, because we read a novel, and it was the first time that our emotions were touched in order to wake up to some of the issues. When the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was written, it was not because someone was just repeating what was done before. It was because a group of citizens had the imagination to create and to aspire for a new world. And imagination is what the arts gives us in our formation, in our development. And in a much more diverse world, we are not going to be able to live together if we are not able to create a new world and new realities. The arts are about asking questions. They're about stimulating us to think differently. And asking is much more difficult than answering. Be it when we ask a question to ChatGPT or when we participate in a debate. So a school that creates the means to have the students asking questions is a very good school. And so the arts also have this possibility of giving us the opportunity to ask and not just to repeat the answers that were always presented as a definite truth. The arts are about the process. When we are experienced with, for instance, the time to read a novel in depth, we have to go back and forth. We have to look for the words that we didn't understand. We have to understand the connections between what we are reading and other artistic experience that we had. And indeed, in a fast-changing world, we need to think of alternatives. The arts are about alternative worlds that we can create. Also, we don't know a lot about the future. We ask little kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we know that the most repetitive and routine jobs will be replaced by machines. We know of all these professions that will disappear. So the future is really about those areas in which we cannot program because they have not been invented yet. So it is really about living together in a world where what is uniquely human, like the arts, is going to be more and more important. The neuroscientist, the Portuguese neuroscientist António Damasio, wrote this amazing book called Descartes' Error, where he shows that when we take decisions as human beings, we use reason, but we also use a lot of emotions. It's like if we have to choose two different roads on a crossing, and one is very beautiful and the other one is very dark. We have no information about these streets, but we are appealed and we are attracted to what it looks more safe and what looks more beautiful. So if we don't stimulate the emotions in schools, and the arts are about the emotions, we are not preparing the students to decide well. So leaving the emotions aside from the school, aside from the curriculum, is guiding the students to worse processes of decision making when they grow up. We are talking about the arts when we are talking about democracy. Democracy requires time and complexity. When some of us are very concerned about the rise of populism, populism can be defined as giving easy answers to complex matters. Democracy is about finding consensus. It's about us sitting together. It is about us being able to dedicate time to debate. And the artistic experiences is still one of those areas in which time stops. When we go to the theater, we turn off our mobile and we are only there. We are not doing many things at a time. And we are there for the full time of the theater play. And we come out and we discuss what we saw. So having the arts in the curriculum is also retrieving and recovering our relation with time that is so precious for the debate and for democracy. And also, just because we are humans. As I mentioned before, the arts make us uniquely human. So if we are caring about a school that is prompting us for a full-fledged development and a human flourishing, then we cannot leave the arts aside. This has consequences for assessment. What are we assessing? When are we assessing? How are we assessing? If we want a curriculum that embodies the arts and creative and curriculum thinking and imagination, this is not just about doing multiple choice quizzes and multiple choice tests. This is something where we have to learn. I give you here two examples from VET schools, vocational educational training, and from artistic schools. It is possible to assess practical work. It is possible to assess creativity, and we need to know more, and we need to go further in these areas. We have to learn a lot also from what the countries do when we are discussing adult and lifelong learning. We value competencies, we value skills acquired through life, and we also know that we'll have a better population if the adults are citizens that can do their jobs, but are also citizens that go to the arts, that go to ballet, that know the opera, that know music, that read a lot and read literature and read fiction and can be able to think in alternative ways because they are exposed to all of this. This has consequences for teacher initial preparation for professional development. Teacher initial preparation has to integrate the areas of inclusion. It has a teacher of chemistry has to be someone with a cultural background. Flexibility in curriculum development has to be embedded in the ways we train teachers. Teacher preparation has to be compatible with pedagogical differentiation, and it has to be open. Schools have to have their gates open to receive, like we do in our national plan for arts, artistic residencies in the schools, to communicate with the arts institutions so that schools become much richer places. Finally, I'd like to make a suggestion. Give students a voice. They have a lot to teach us. And when we give a voice to the teachers, to the students, we know that we get more inclusive systems, because for effective inclusion, we have to learn from those who say, I don't like school. And many times, the first time the students have a positive experience, an experience of success in school, is through the art experience. The first time they feel well in school is when the arts enter the curriculum. So the arts can also be the trigger for a new relation with the education system. We are linking the arts here with active citizenship. And if we want citizenship, school cannot be a place of silence. School has to be a place of emotions. School has to be a place of music. School has to be a place of poetry. School has to be a place of theater. And so with these words, I thank you a lot for your attention, and I look forward to the work we can all develop together. Also in my new role at the European Agency for Special Needs and Inclusive Education, there is no inclusion without the arts, and so we can do better, and we will do much better if we do it together. Thank you so much for your attention.
Ačiū, Joao Costa. Idėja negalime užduoti klausimo tiesiogiai, bet jeigu jūs norėtumėt kiekvieną jo žodį įtraukti į vyriausybės programą, spauskite žalią mygtuką. Bet iš tiesų galime pareflektuoti, jeigu norite pasidalinti mintimis, kurias jums sukelia šis pranešimas, arba retoriniu sušaukimu, arba klausimu, prašau, pasinaudokite šitą progą, pasidalinkite, ką jums šis pranešimas sukėlė, kokių minčių, kokių įkvėpimų ir kokių galbūt paskatinimų veikti artimiausiu metu. Na, aš tikiuosi, kad šis pranešimas gali būti nuneštas ir į švietimo komiteto posėdį, ir į kitų sprendimų pranešimų priėmėjų kabinetus, peržiūrėtas, kadangi jame tikrai daug krūvio, daug informacijos, apie kurią mes kalbame šiandien. Na, o kito pranešimo? Turime. Taip, prašau.
Tai, labą dieną. Taip, vedėjas išprovokavo mane kalbėti kaip švietimo komiteto narį.
Mano toks darbas.
Tai iš tikrųjų, tai aš galvoju, kad aš pagal išsilavinimą esu istorijos mokytojas, 20 metų dirbau mokykloje, dirbau su vaikais. Ir kas man patiko, kad net keletą kartų buvo akcentuota ne tik įtraukusis ugdymas, kurį mes dabar biški kažkaip kitaip suprantam, bet buvo akcentuota ir kritinio mąstymo ugdymas. Tai, ko trūksta mūsų visuomenėje, tai mes dabar lietuviai einam nuo vieno kraštutinumo prie kito. Pavyzdys iš vakar posėdžio, kada mes turėjom priimti rezoliuciją dėl įvykių Sakartvele, bet Nacionalinio saugumo komiteto pirmininkas Seimo narys Jeglinskas ten kažkurioj vietoj derindamas rado, mums nepasakė, ką rado, bet supratom, kad yra kažkoks tai sakinys, kuris gali būti interpretuojamas kažkaip ne taip. Ir buvo paprašyta tiesiog iki rytojaus, iki ketvirtadienio posėdžio pauzės, kad padarom pertrauką, suderinam tą dokumentą ir jį priimam. Pasirodo, mes norėjom būti pats pirmas parlamentas tarp ES šalių, kurie labai greitai reaguotų. Viskas yra tvarkoj. Bet turim tokios čiučiut karčios patirties, kada mes pirmi kažką padarom, tada po to mums va taip ateina tokių gniūžtės principų. Tai kalbant apie švietimą ir kalbant apie kultūrą ir jos įtraukti į visus kitus dalykus, aš supratau vieną dalyką, ką mes padarėm blogai ir ką mes turėtume pakeisti. Man labai liūdna, kad didžioji dalis labai gabių ir išsilavinusių vaikų, moksleivių, baigę 10 klasę nepasirenka istorijos. O pasirenka lengvesnį dalyką, geografiją. Aš kai pradėjau dirbti 98 metais, tai dar buvo 20 valandų politologijos. Po to kažkur jinai ten buvo integruota į geografiją ir buvo palikta šone. Ir ką mes dabar turim? Mūsų patys gabiausi nesusivokia, kaip vyksta politiniai procesai, nes jie tuos 2 metus, kada reikia ne tik mokintis chemiją, biologiją, fiziką, matematiką, bet ir taip pat istoriją ir susipažinti vėl iš naujo su pasauliu, jie visą tai jau būna užmiršę. Ir dabar čia tas gražus pavyzdys buvo, kada buvo Renesanso epochos skaidrė. Tai visi žino Maro epidemiją ir kas po jo atėjo, po jos atėjo Renesansas, atgimimas. Ir atėjo kartu su menu, per meną visos mokslo šakos iš naujo atgimė tai, kas buvo antikoje atrasta. Tai aš galvoju, kad laikas mums kartu ir vyriausybės programai, kažkaip jūs jau kalbėjote apie vyriausybės programą, žinau, kad mes rytoj turėsim pirmą svarstymą, bet mes dar vakar jos gyvai nematėm. Tai aš kaip valdančiosios koalicijos narys beveik žinau, kas tenais turi būti, nes jinai tiesiogiai susijusi su rinkiminė programa ir šiek tiek paskui gal dar tai paliesiu, bet praktiškai tai, kas buvo šitame pranešime, labai stipriai atsispindi. Tai aš tikiu, kad tą proveržį ir su šitu forumu įmanoma įnešti į visą švietimo sistemą. Ir dar vienas toks, kaip čia pasakyti, kartėlis. Tikrai neturiu nieko prieš, bet turbūt mūsų švietimo sistemai dar yra kokia 30%, o gal net ir daugiau, mokytojų, kurie išsilavinimą įgyja dar praeitame amžiuje ir praeitoje santvarkoje. Ir iš tikrųjų persiversti jiems yra gana sunku. Tai kaip priversti chemijos mokytoją įtraukti į savo pamokas ir taip pat meną, teatrą, vaidybą, o čia jau yra iššūkis. Tai tą iššūkį mes turim visi kartu pasiekti.
Bet Dariau, aš taip pat galvoju, kad vyresniems žmonėms vartytis yra sunku, bet gal jiems tiesiog reikia padėti įgyti žinių ir, pavyzdžiui, pakeisti požiūrį arba kažkaip padėti jiems kvėpuoti kartu su šiuolaikiniam tendencijom ir kryptim.
Tai yra tiesa, bet jeigu reaguoti į pranešimą, buvo dar viena gera vieta. Jeigu jūs dabar mes išėję į miestą paklaustume moksleivių, kurie po pietų pradės grįžinėti iš mokyklų, ar jiems šiandien patiko mokykloje, tai turbūt 50% sakytų, ačiū Dievui, šiandien diena baigėsi mokykloje. Pati idėja yra, kad mokykla tai turėtų būti vieta. Tikiuosi, kad čia mes eidami šiandien nei vienas nesijautėm blogai. Aš gal šiek tiek jaučiau tokią įtampą, nes, aš tiesiog kaip švietimietis jaučiu kaip ir atsakomybę, kaip politikas, dalyvaudamas popietinėje diskusijoje, bet nemanau, kad įtampa buvo pas jūs visus. Bet kai mokiniai eina į mokyklą turėdami įtampą, tai yra blogai. Tai, ką mes turime sukurti mūsų visuomenėje, tai kad mokykla būtų šventė. O kaip tai padaryti? Kodėl jie eina švęsti šventes į mokyklą, kaip džiaugiasi dabar artėjančiomis kažkokiamis kalėdinėmis šventėmis, padėkos vakarais ir taip toliau. Jie taip pat turėtų džiaugtis ir matematikos, fizikos, chemijos pamokomis. Ar tai įmanoma? Manau, kad įmanoma, jeigu mes visą tai sieksim visi kartu. Kai nuimsim įtampą, pamatysit, rezultatai Lietuvoje vaikų ugdyme bus tikrai geresni.
Ačiū Jums. Nepristačiau, Darius Jakavičius, naujasis Seimo narys, švietimo komiteto narys, dalyvaus taip pat diskusijoje. Ir Dariau, mes užtikriname Jūs, kad tikrai rytojaus posėdžiui Jūs paruošime tinkamai ir tikrai gausite daug pasiūlymų iš mūsų ir raštu. Dalis jų jau yra suformuluoti, kolegos kiti taip pat turi ką pasakyti, bet iki diskusijos mes dar turime nemažai pranešimų.